for joining us. We have people from 4 different continents, many states across the U.S., Canada, friends of Canada, and so special things for those people who got up early or are still up from last night and have nothing to do but join our webinar. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mara Della Pascoli, who's the founder of the Educational Travel Conference and Community, and she's going to kick us off this morning. Mara?
I wanted to welcome everyone to this webinar for DOS, and our DOS stands for our foreign destinations and U.S. destinations and Canadian destinations, our operators, both the U.S. outbound operators and our DMCs and inbound operators overseas, as well as suppliers that serve this market niche. So welcome. And I wanted to also thank our host, Rhodes Scholar, because without this technical skill that we have supporting this webinar, we wouldn't be able to bring it to you on all 4 continents. And I would like to give a particular thanks to our presenters who represent a range of conference constituents who are able to really give you a personalized introduction to both the ETC community and conference. First, we have Roberta Moore, Manager of Special Interest Programs from Thomson Safaris, representing the U.S. Operator Contingency. We have Tim Bennett, Director of Corporate Relationships at G3 Visas and Passports, and he's speaking to us from D.C., representing our suppliers, and Lauren Summers, Director of Marketing for North America, Visit Wales, and Lauren speaking to us from New York, and Scott Olson, Director of Travel, Utah State University, representing our travel planners in the university market, and Alexandra Maddock, Associate Director of Member Travel at the Art Institute of Chicago, representing our cultural organizations that attend the conference. And with delight, I am going to introduce my co-facilitator, Steve Lemke, Director of Institutional Advancement at Rhodes Scholar, who co-facilitated this webinar with me for the 2nd year running. Thank you, Steve. We have a webinar agenda. We'll run on time. We like to run an on-time webinar with a 1-hour duration, covering a great deal of information. And there are really 2 discussion objectives within this webinar. First, we're going to focus on the educational travel community at large for the first half hour, and then we'll take a short break following Q&A, and then we'll move on to the second section of the webinar, which will focus on the Educational Travel Conference upcoming in February 2015. The objective is really to give you an overview of the high points that relate to the community and the conference, with the hope that you'll go online and look at our various resources, both on Facebook and LinkedIn and Google+, and our actual website, where we have far more comprehensive information. And by the way, it's updated almost daily.
So, Mara, thank you, and thank you for those kind words. It's delightful for us to be part of this again this year from Rhodes Scholar to help host this. The first thing that I'm going to talk about today is the community, and it's called Opening Doors to Open Minds. We're going to talk today about the overview of the community, the benefits of being a member of the community, the ETC community, how you become a member, and some things about responsible tourism, which is a major initiative that the ETC has had for a number of years. So the first thing is the overview, the history of the community. As Mara pointed out, the conference, if you don't know, this is the 29th year of the conference. For about 25 years of that conference, the focus was almost primarily on the conference itself. And about 5 years ago, those of us on the Executive Advisory Council, Mara and her staff, and the Emeritus Council and others, realized that a lot is happening in the social networking side, and that where we had a conference to start with, we were actually creating a community. So we decided that it was time for us to put community first, and not necessarily the conference second, but the focus is now on the community. It's also why in the agenda we have the community to be the first half of the discussion and the conference to be the second half. What we found, too, is that we wanted to take the enthusiasm that the conference raises, the camaraderie that we find there, the collegiality that goes along with it, and make it an ongoing year-long commitment. So we did. 2015 conference really highlights the community. You're going to see some of that going forward. The need for this has been very clear. Over the years, we have had many people say that they find themselves coming to the conference and being very active and enthusiastic about that, but they needed something more than that. Just a 3-day conference, we really want to turn into something that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that people can connect and feel comfortable with it. There's also a demand. There's a demand on the part of our associates within the industry when we're talking to destinations, operators, suppliers like yourselves. There's a lot of need for people to have real numbers, real solid facts and figures about what does the educational travel community bring to a certain destination? What does it bring to an operator? What does it represent for a supplier? And if you're part of the community, you can stay in tune with that as you go along. And last but not least, the expectations are you can expect to get all the things that we talked about above given to you if you become a member of the conference and you become a member of the community. You can, in fact, be a member of the community without attending the conference, but you'll learn later that there are distinctive financial ways to mitigate some of the cost of being a community member by attending the conference. So Myra's going to talk to us a little bit about the actual benefits of being a member of the ETC community.
As you see right up on the slide right now, we give you a snapshot. For those of you who are not current members of the community, you would not be able to get to this page except viewing the snapshot online. But this is what we call the individual dashboard for each of our members. And on that dashboard, they can navigate the variety and actually ever-expanding depth of resources online for ETC members. As you'll see, we have a lot of pictorial visuals that are included. We have visuals that people submit, photos, etc. But we also have member searches that you see on the right-hand side. You can search for members, you can search for their profiles and organizations. And there's a neat little tool on the bottom left that they can navigate the conference since that's coming up and that's a big event. But up in the upper left-hand corner, we have a number of announcements, we have postings, we have events, and all of our members are encouraged to create a very robust exchange here, and they can just post that on the fly from wherever they are. So moving on to the specific benefits, we have basically, we have on the dashboard, we have destination reports, we have educationals, we have field notes, we have speaker publications, research reports, conference archives. There's also an extensive list of all the past presentations at conferences, all the reports when any of our community members are out at our Executive Advisory Council meetings. We provide those resources online. So what's really quite exciting is that the member posts and the online searches are probably the most dynamic component that we've added. And certainly we'll be developing a webinar for all of you who are members to really learn to navigate this to the best of your ability, because there is so much information in the website that is actually hidden to most who haven't explored this opportunity. I would recommend, basically from the past conferences, we have now started to archive all of the extensive presentations that we had high ratings on for presenters. So if you've missed a conference, or say you can attend this conference but you're coming in as a member, you can actually listen to all of the presentations. We're actually videotaping a lot of the keynotes where we're allowed to by the presenters. So really you could have a week's worth or even more of educational resources at your fingertips if you've not gone to the conference, or if you did go to the conference and you missed one of the sessions that you really felt was most appropriate for your needs. We also have the handouts that correspond to these keynotes and these presentations to explore. So there's quite a lot of data. These are on MP3 files that are downloadable.
And I want to add something before we go to Tim to talk to us about how to register for to be a member of the community and the cost. That even for those of us who have been to the conference for years, you can't attend necessarily all of the educational sessions. So having the past session recordings is a huge help as well. Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. As mentioned, you know, this ETC is really about community and opening the doors into the expertise that all of us bring through years and years of experience. And the first thing that we really are focused on here is to get folks to become a member, and really not just about the whole community 365 days a year. The annual membership fee is $475, but by registering for the conference, you can obtain a $275 savings for DOS attendees, for instance, down to $200. So obviously in this business, every dollar counts, so we urge you to register early and often, excuse me, and that can be done directly on the travellearning.com website. And if you are so advanced to do the /, you can add membership and go directly to that page. Otherwise, it's accessible right from the main splash page. If you're already registered for ETC like I am, your membership fee is bundled into the registration fee at $200. And if you haven't registered, please do so right after this webinar. Go onto the website, get it done, and you will certainly be happy that you did. And the best part is that you're really getting more than a year of a membership because it's going to last all the way until December 15th of 2015. So really, while we say that ETC is 365 days a year, you're really getting a little bit more than that as a bonus.
Thanks, Tim. We're going to go to Roberta now, who's going to talk to us about one of the major initiatives of ETC, which is the Responsible Tourism Initiative. Roberta?
Thanks, Steve. The educational travel community is committed to advancing responsible tourism, and as such, we host an annual Responsible Tourism Showcase to recognize the efforts of ETC members and their partners working diligently in the field to develop and implement responsible tourism initiatives. We invite you to take a look and celebrate the Showcase honorees online and consider including their projects in your tours as a program piece or an element. The Silent Charity Auction funds go to support the Responsible Tourism Showcase, which is a grassroots program recognizing pioneering responsible tourism initiatives within our field. It's a fun element of the conference. I invite you to contribute and participate by actively bidding and keeping an eye on that program.
I will also add to this that if you donate an item, a trip, a particular cultural item from a country, you get good exposure to by being in the conference resource directory. They're displayed at the International Bazaar, and all the donations appear in ETC's e-newsletters.
And I'd like to mention also that we have online our 4 winners this year. They are announced on the Responsible Tourism Showcase page, and actually they represent all the continents of the world. It's very, very exciting, very different projects, largely focused on community tourism, development, and very, very exciting content.
Great. So you've heard about the community at this point. You know that the overview of it is that after 25 years, we were focusing for the last 4 or 5 years on creating a 24/7 community. We feel that we're well on our way to doing that. You know how to enroll. You know how to, you know what the costs are. If you have questions and answers, questions about the community at this point, and you'd like to type them in, please do so. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a break now for 3 or 4 minutes, so we can collect the questions, and we'll be back to you with the answers, and then we'll talk about the 2015 conference. So stick with us for another couple minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, we have some questions. I think that they're probably representative of what most of you might be thinking. As Tim said, there was a question about clarification of the time of membership. If you enroll today, when does your membership run out? So, Mara, you want to tell us what that would be?
It would be December 15th, 2000.
Okay, so you do it now, and it runs through all
I'm sorry,
2015. So, right, so you get 14, 15 months of it now. Right. And it's almost immediate. Once you enroll, you have access to your dashboard, and you can navigate it very easily at that point. There was a question about posting anything. People, one of the suppliers said, if we have something in particular to post, can we do that? You're muted.
As with any community, the robustness of the website is really dictated by the amount of information and posts that we're getting from our members. So we're encouraging members to really go online and post their events, such as new museum openings in certain countries of the world, or perhaps an announcement or an event that they might be doing or hosting in an area regionally. These are not commercial announcements. They're really more public service or more focused on educational and informational types of content. But really, the more robust we can become is really based on our members. So everyone's encouraged to post.
Okay. Thank you for that. If you have other questions about community as we go forward, don't hesitate to go back in time. But we're also going to talk about the 2015 Educational Travel Conference now. If you didn't know that, it's February 17 through 20 of 2015. It is in Boston. There will be no snow during that time frame. We've already decided upon that. But do keep in mind that February 17 through 20 are the days of the conference, and that those are going to be important dates to remember later on when we're talking about specific items that go along with it. So, Mara, you want to talk to us a little bit about the conference, the history, and so forth?
I think that we have some newcomers on this call that haven't been to the conference, but we also have many repeat attendees, which is great. But I'd always good to reinforce what's the history and purpose of ETC, the conferences. We convened it in 1987 with the purpose of bringing together all of the nonprofit travel planners from universities, from museums and cultural organizations across the U.S. who did not have a collegial forum up to that point. They worked on travel programs pretty much in their own little silos, pretty excluded from sharing best practices and information on their programs and challenges. And so therefore, we convened this conference. At that time, there was no online community available. And the conference really developed as a professional development forum, basically to give the travel planners a means for education, for professional, as I mentioned, development that would focus exclusively on their specific interests within this niche of the educational tourism market. With that focus, we spend 6 months of the year preparing programming that speaks to the issues, not only to the travel planners, but of the travel industry that supports and works with them. Therefore, 3/4 of the conference is focused on these educational sessions. In these educational sessions, colleagues are invited to share what their current challenges are, what they need, what they want. They share what their consumers are saying about travel. And it's absolutely really important at this meeting to plan to attend all the educational sessions and over the years to get involved with presentations and sharing. That is a huge component of the conference. We also have evolved that we know we have to connect people, and we have to do that effectively. So we've come up, and we will discuss it at more length with Connects meetings. So there is an educational component of exchange. It varies. It actually is quite different than a trade show. The main objective here is to learn and to network, and then there is a component of strategic targeting people to talk about specific business. We give a forum for that, but the majority of the conference is in this educational exchange. And that's important for newcomers to understand when they come to the conference, that they're there to learn, not only for their own agendas, but also about what the issues that are driving this industry. And really, we do hit those high points and low points and opportunities and future challenges very, very succinctly in these sessions. And we bring in some incredible outside speakers to speak to those points.
So thank you, Mara. One of the things that you may be wondering is how do we get to this point? Does Mara and her 4 or 5 staff members just sit down and make this thing up? No. So Lauren Summers is going to talk to us now about the planning and programming process that actually leads up to the conference on an annual basis. Lauren?
Thanks, Steve. So hi, everyone. And I'm so excited that I got to talk about this piece of it because I think that it tends to be surprising to people to find out that there is a conference like this where the leadership really cares what you think, and the whole entire conference is driven by the feedback and input of the planners. And so that starts with a general focus that Mara has just described, and then it gets fleshed out over the course of the year in regional roundtables. So there were 7 roundtables that took place in 2013 to plan the 2014 conference, and there will be 6 that will take place in 2014 to plan the 2015 conference. The attendance at these roundtables is excellent, and people really come with fresh ideas, with feedback on what worked and what didn't work in the prior conference, and with their agendas of what they need to learn for the year going forward. So, and it covers the gamut of the different constituents that show up at the conference. So alumni, museums, conservation organizations, travel planners from across the board, as well as destinations, operators, and suppliers. And as a result, the programming that you see at ETC during the conference is very well-rounded and really speaks to everyone's needs.
Lauren, if you don't mind, I want to interject something here. If you're looking at the screen now and you live anywhere near Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, LA, or San Francisco, those are the 2015 dates for the roundtables for your participation. So if you want to jot something down now, please do so, but also stay online because we really could use all of your feedback. They're very well attended. They're not, they start in the morning and end in the afternoon. They're very collegial and very, they're fun as well as informative.
Great. So now let's talk about a little bit about what happens after the roundtables. There are people sitting at those roundtables who are literally writing down everything that gets said, and those notes get compiled and put together into a framework agenda and top-line issues. And then those of us who are on the Executive Advisory Council get together during the spring after the roundtables take place, and we flesh out, looking at the feedback that you all have provided, what the programming should be. And this is our mid-year planning meeting. This year it took place in Peru. And not only did we get to see what a wonderful country Peru is and get to explore the destination so that we can share with you how you can work Peru into your programs, but we also really worked very hard at nailing down what the conference agenda is going to be so that it really truly reflects your feedback. And there's one more thing I'd say on that, which is a lot of times people come to me during the conference and say, hey, you're on the advisory council, can you tell them X? And I want you guys to know that that's a great way to get your feedback through to the leadership of this conference. Those of us on the council really do listen, and we want to know your suggestions, and we take them back and feed them in so that they get acted upon.
Thank you, Lauren. We're going to go to Tim now to review some of the conference logistics, some of the high points so that you know when to arrive and when to leave. Tim?
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, to follow up with what Lauren mentioned is for everyone on the line here, it's important to note that there are countless hours that are put into the design of this conference and the logistics to make it as beneficial as possible and to maximize our time together as part of a community. To that end, it's very, very important that you or the people that you mentioned this conference to is that you stay through the entire conference. If you come late or leave early, you really will be missing out, and more importantly, the community is going to miss out on your participation. So the way that we've structured this is we really need everyone to arrive Tuesday, February the 17th, and stay all the way until Friday evening. As folks who have been into Boston before, it is very easy to get to and from the airport. If you book early, flights will be no more than $400. And really, this is an action-packed conference, and we need your participation the entire time. We'll have the bazaar breakdown on the last day, 1:15 to 7. We have a preliminary schedule that's listed on the ETC preliminary schedule on the Travel Learning website also. But it's very important that you stay all the way until Saturday, or at the very earliest Friday evening after 5:30, between 5:30 and 7, in order to maximize your time at the conference.
Plus, rumor has it that Friday night in Boston is not a bad night to be here. So if you like sports, if you like entertainment, it's a great time to be here.
To that end, Steve, I was also going to mention is that while we don't have any programmed events during the weekend, which is something different from the past, you might want to take it upon yourself to make some additional connections or educational travel yourself within Boston. As you know, there's a tremendous contingent from the Boston area, and perhaps it's an opportunity to take full advantage of the city, its rich history, and the educational opportunities that it has.
And we'll alert the police that you're doing that planning. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Alex. Thank you, Tim. We're going to talk about some other logistics of the conference, and in particular, what we call Seminar on Wheels, which are pre-conference activities. Alex?
Thanks, Steve. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about what we call our Seminar on Wheels, or SOWS for short. This is something that we've offered in the past at several conferences. We did a great tour in Providence, Rhode Island, also Winter Park, Florida, and it's really just a chance to give attendees to get a little familiar with some great cultural venues in the area where the conference is taking place. And we always have terrific local lecturers and guides as well. The two that we are offering this year, we have one in Salem, which is just a quick half-hour away from Boston, and we'll have a great guide there named Rory Raven, and he actually led one of our tours in Providence a couple of years ago, and as luck would have it, he's based in Salem now, and we'll be visiting the Salem Witch Museum, also Old Bearing Point Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in Salem and one of the oldest in the country, actually. We'll be visiting the Turner Ingersoll Mansion, otherwise known as the House of the Seven Gables. We'll be having a lovely lunch there, and then visiting the Peabody Essex Museum. And the other tour that we're offering is in Boston, and that's focused more on art and architecture, and we'll be getting a private tour of the Museum of Fine Arts there. And we'll also be visiting with an artist named Scott Patrick Wiener, and we'll be visiting his studio there at Mass Art. And then we'll be visiting Trinity Church, and we'll be having a lovely tour there, as well as a demo of their organ, which will be very exciting. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly is something new that we have planned for everyone, and it's just a fun networking event. It's a scavenger hunt, and it takes place from 6:45 to 8 p.m., and we'll just split everyone into groups of 4, and we'll arm you with clues, and you'll be able to go out into the Copley Place shopping mall, which is connected to where we're staying at the Marriott, and you'll just be looking for fun little things and bringing them back for a prize, and it's just kind of a great way to meet people before the conference. And it doesn't start until 6:45, so if you wanted to do one of the seminars and the scavenger hunt, you're absolutely able to do that. The scavenger hunt is free of cost. You do need to pre-register on ETC's website, and if you've already registered early, that's great, and if you'd still like to do one of the two seminars or the scavenger hunt, you can always go back and amend your registration. It's not too late. We'd love to see you there.
And Alex, thank you for that. One thing to keep in mind too is that both the Seminar on Wheels take place on Tuesday, starting at 9:30. So if you want to come in on Monday night, pardon me, there are special deals at the Copley Plaza Hotel. That is is that, anyway, special deals at the hotel to accommodate that. So especially if you're at all concerned about weather or timing or something else, join us early on Monday, or come in Monday, enjoy the seminar on wheels and the scavenger hunt, and you'll be lined up perfectly for introducing.
I should back up what Steve said also, that the rate of $169 at the hotel is really quite low for Boston. Those rates typically are $245 to $345 depending on occupancy at that time of year. So it is February, but it's a very popular time in Boston as well.
Correct. Okay, we're going to go back to Tim for a minute. He's going to talk to us about if you're brand new to the conference and this is your first conference, here's something we recommend.
Absolutely. The mentor meet and greet is the event that we're trying to work for. But for any newcomers out there, I strongly recommend that you check the I Want a Mentor section on your registration. This will ensure that you are assigned a volunteer or a mentor within your particular section of the ETC community. So if you're a planner, you'll get paired with a planner. If you're a destinations operations supplier, you'll get paired with someone from that community. It really will give you an opportunity to learn the ropes of the conference. It's different than a trade show, and people will have a million different questions. And being paired up with a seasoned ETC veteran, it really imparts a tremendous amount of knowledge. It helps make the conference make sense. And more importantly, they're an entree into making those kinds of networking connections that you're looking to do. I know for me personally, my mentor, Linda Witt, has been absolutely fabulous for my growth here within ETC, and I strongly recommend it for everyone who is coming to the ETC as a new one. Also, there are resources on the Travel Learning website where you can do for instance, a DOS Jumpstart seminar video, which is good. It's a primer for suppliers. I'd highly recommend you view those items. And most importantly, for those people on this call who have been at ETC conferences in the past, please consider volunteering and giving back to the community and sharing all of your expertise and knowledge with those who are new to this whole process.
Thanks, Tim. And now that you know when the conference is, you know what's going to happen before the conference. Mara's going to talk to us about what's going to actually happen at the conference in 2015. Mara?
Well, it's always exciting to see the birth of a whole new agenda every year because we really don't repeat the agendas. They're started from scratch, and we go through and look at, as my colleagues have recommended and said, that we really evaluate what people have recommended of the issues. So we are bringing together, we typically have 5 keynotes at the conference every year, and we're very, very delighted to have Pico Iyer, who is a very esteemed travel writer and author, and he will be kicking our meeting off. It's his second appearance at ETC, focusing on savoring our global classroom face-to-face. Pico wishes to stay with the community for 3 days, so he'll be involved in programming throughout the conference, which is really going to be a delight this year. And of course, our annual, we have a biannual appearance by Peter Yezowich every year to start hammering in on the travel trends and with specific reference to the educational travel community. And then we have Sue Herswich-Core, who is founder and owner of High Impact Presentations. Sue came in to the 2014 conference in a small seminar, which just overflowed into the hall because it was so well attended. We asked her to come back to focus on email as a sales tool, and are you really persuasive enough? She is a very powerful speaker, and she will be continuing with us throughout the conference. We're also very, very pleased to have Estra Suarez. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist, formerly with the Boston Globe. And he will be focusing on, through the eyes of the photojournalist, really on the power of using the right images. That is themed very well with our overall conference theme, which focuses on living in a visual world, where we're going to really focus a lot on creating connections, both visually and in the written word, and communicating with our consumers, our travelers. We also will have a number of tracks at the conference, but 2 I'd like to mention that are fairly intensive, and they actually have 5 to 6 sessions throughout the conference. So you theoretically could come to the conference and just take one of these tracks and walk away with more information than you could amass in perhaps taking a week-long seminar. The first would be on risk management. We're going to be dealing a lot with the environmental issues, our health issues, which are huge right now, the risks and how those are articulating issues within our marketing. Also, we'll be focusing on intensive track on marketing. We'll be starting, however, this year on branding, and we're quite pleased to have Don Rodney, Senior VP of Strategic Marketing and Creative at Nat Geo, who's going to be really focusing on creating clarity in brand, and what better person to do that. And we'll be focusing on through a bunch of social media sessions. We're thrilled to have Perry Hewitt, the Chief Technology Officer at Harvard University, who will be focusing on what they are doing with social media and how the individual voices resonate more than institutional voices. She's one of a few women in this field, and she is the dynamo. So we're very, very pleased to have her. And of course, the formats within all the sessions are ever evolving too, but I can assure you that about 60% of the sessions have more than 50% audience participation, because that is how the conference is shifting, to give voice to all of the experts in the audience and to be able to brainstorm with our experts. So we have a new format that worked very well last year. We'll continue this year. It's called the Workbench, and it's designed to give you access one-to-one to some of the key speakers, some of the high-powered attorneys, which, as you know, having an hour with them could pay for the conference itself. But it also leads into a new format that we are doing this year, which is called our boot camp, which is happening on Friday afternoon. And that boot camp is designed as a hands-on workshop so that you could walk out with a plan, either in crisis communications with Peggy Bendel, or customer communications with Sue Herswich-Core, or visual communications with Ezra Suarez and a few other photographers. We really want to give a hands-on sort of take-home agenda. So you've heard these wonderful presentations. Where do you go with them? Well, this is the place in the boot camp. And we will be focusing, honing in and concluding our theme on communications at this conference with this boot camp.
Thanks, Mara. I have to say that having direct access to the keynote speakers is something that you don't get in many conferences. So for years, we've been able to sit down with small groups of people to talk to the keynote. So do take advantage of that on Friday afternoon. We're going to go back to Tim now. He's going to talk about the Destination Operator Supplier Forum. Tim?
Thank you. As you know, the ETC has always been a great resource for travel planners in helping them with best practices and information, market research, and all sorts of different tidbits that cater directly to them. Over the past several years, we've been working to create the same kind of community and access to information for people who are destination operators and suppliers. As you may know, the issues facing folks in the DOS are a little bit different than planners, and our focuses can vary a bit. And Mara and others determined that it was a good opportunity for us to create sessions that are going to be a good takeaway for people in this segment. And we've spent a lot of time and effort to try to make forums that are going to be educational and valuable for DOS here. One last note is as we continue to come up with programs, if you have specific ideas for things that you would like to see included in the DOS forum, please feel free to send a note to either myself or Steve or Mara so that we can look at rounding out our programming for this conference and also for the 365 programming on the website.
Thanks, Tim. One of the things that I want to talk about too is the executive forum. Mara, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Well, I wanted to add, thank you, Tim, that there is within the DOS forum, there is a CEO roundtable, and that is accessing some of our key resource people that are speakers at the conference, and they go into a smaller roundtable with the presidents or CEOs or chief financial officers at the different companies. So it's a two-part process. You can actually speak with colleagues that are running firms and dealing with more of the 365U issues, but also have the consult of some of our expert speakers. So that is, in a sense, the executive forum within the DOS community.
Thanks, Mara. One of the things that's really important to the conference and important to, I think, all of us who are sort of in the field doing all this so-called good work, and it is good work that we do, one of the things that happens with the executive forum, there's, on the planner side as well, there's one held every year. This one is called Igniting Alumni and Member Engagement Through Travel. One of the major things to do if you're a participant in the travel industry and the Educational Travel Conference, one good thing to do is get your CEOs, get your bosses, get your colleagues to come to the conference so they can learn about what you do. Each year we find that many people come and they say one of the most important things and the most troubling things is that they work long and hard in the field, but many of their bosses, if you will, their deans, their alumni, everybody else doesn't really understand what they do and what's going on in the industry. So the executive forum is held every year, as it says in front of you. It's a full one-day forum, and it's exclusively designed for and open only to senior level directors and executives who actually oversee the travel programs at not-for-profits and educational institutions, but aren't involved pretty much in the day-to-day activities. It's been a very, very strong and very, very powerful thing. It operates in conjunction with, but somewhat separate from ETC in the sense that it's a full day forum for CEOs and executives come and do it. And you should do your best to get your execs to take the forum. It brings them closer to knowing and understanding what you do, and it also brings them closer to the industry so they understand what your customers would do. So for a destination, an operator, supplier, it also helps when you put your expenses through to say, I'd like to attend the ETC. If they've been to one of the executive forums, they get a really good feel for what goes on at the forum. So now we're going to go on to Scott. He's going to discuss who are the different types of DOS people and others that attend the conference.
All right, thank you. It's great to speak with everyone today. At the conference, there's an incredibly diverse amount of attendees. In fact, when I first attended the conference 6 or 7 years ago, I was amazed at the depth of diversity that I found in the attendees. I suppose I was a little naive in thinking that they were all travel planners like myself, but really there's quite a bit of diversity in the attendees. We've got travel planners from universities, from alumni associations such as I am, from other types of institutions, as well as tour operators and destinations and all kinds of different people that attend the conference. So it's important to know that and recognize that it's quite a diverse audience that we have that attend. But they all relate back to the same kind of thing, to this affinity or educational travel. To make this conference, I think, work for any attendee, it's important to complete your profile online, your member profile. And if I may share a quick story about this, when I first started to attend the ETC and I completed my profile, I had one of my travelers talk to me about a particular destination. So as part of my organizational profile, I was able to add that destination in as something I was interested in learning more about. And quite frankly, I didn't realize that information was so readily available to the destinations and the operators. But I'm glad it was, because what happened is, as the conference drew closer, I received several invitations for Connects meetings. And by the end of the conference, I had a very firm idea and grasp about the destination and what we could offer to our travelers and what would be available and the ins and outs completely of the destination. I felt very good about that. So that's really one way that those Connects meetings can work very well, and you can use the entire ETC community to help in your particular role. Completing the profile the very first time does take a little bit of time, and quite honestly, my experience is you can go back to it. If you don't finish it all at once, you can go back and add to it and amend it and update it. And it's good to do that every year as well. I go back to my profiles every year and just check to make sure that all of the information is accurate and correct. And if there are changes, then I put those in and get things updated. Because of the way the community works, I feel strongly that you get out of the community what you put into it. So if you're expecting great things to come from this, then you need to be willing to share and give your information as well. And that way we learn from each other. The conference itself is a great educational opportunity, but for me, it's also a wonderful networking opportunity. So again, going back to that diverse audience that you have there, you get to network with travel planners and destinations and people from different countries and backgrounds, and it's a wonderful opportunity. know that as travel planners, most of us do work through U.S. tour operators, but everybody is different, and you'll find that as you visit with them, you'll find some that prefer to work directly with the destination, and some work through other operators. One of the main reasons that we work through some U.S. tour operators is because of liability. We have our operators handle the reservation, handle the financial transaction, and that is simply because of the liability issues. It relieves some of the liability from my institution. Many U.S. operators also handle the reservation process, the marketing, and some of the customer service. I like to be involved in my particular program. I like to be involved in some of the customer service and the relationship building because that's important to my program. But again, all operators are just about as diverse as the number of attendees that you have there, it seems. But I think, again, we all share that passion for travel and that interest in travel, so I think it's important that we all network together and make this the best community we can.
And, you know, Scott, you raise an interesting point with all of that, and when you take planners together, U.S. tour operators, inbound operators, destinations, suppliers, and sponsors, everybody's there for the same overall global sort of reason, but there are particular things that we have to do too, particularly with DAS and planners bringing them together. And one of the things I want to talk about briefly is the individual and organizational roles, responsibilities, and some of the protocol. This is sort of the bad cop part of the good cop, bad cop side. I want to raise the issue about the ETC conference protocol. And while I don't want to dwell on it too much, I do want to raise it because it's an integral part of creating a community and keeping the camaraderie and collegial aspects of the conference there. By attending the conference, we all agree on we all have a mutual agreement that ETC conference, you don't just pay your money and do whatever you want. There are trade shows. I've been to many of them where you pay your fee, you have hospitality suites every night, every morning, every lunch. You can have dinners whenever you want them. It's not the case at ETC. That's why it's called an educational travel conference. The educational aspects of it play a huge role. The social aspects play a big role, and there are specific times that you as DAS members or as planners can and should attend outside activities. But if you look at this and you look at the first bullet, by attending, we agree that not to participate in private invitational parties, dinners, or other events during the official February 17 through 20 dates. That's why I pointed out earlier, all of those dates inclusive. You cannot do something separately, and one of the main reasons for is that a lot of the conference costs are hosted by destinations, suppliers, and others, and they paid a lot of good money to be in front of people. So when they sponsor a dinner, it cuts down on the cost for all of us. And what we really can't do is have people supplying or having separate parties in competition to that. The other thing we ask is that everybody be registered and identified as a participant to the conference. I hate to say it, but we have had people in the past who they enroll one person and they bring 3 people from the company. Not good. And not accepted. And the last thing is that if any of the protocol is violated, what we will do is we will make certain that there's not a repeat of it, and we'll warn you once, but after that, you don't get to come back. So sorry to be the bad cop on that side of it, but it's important that you know it so that you have your expectations and our expectations are met as we go along. Now I'd like to go to Roberta, who's going to talk about a much more positive side of the conference, which is the Connects. Roberta?
Thanks, Steve. Mara asked me to point out a little bit of fact about myself is that I started attending ETC over 15 years ago as a travel planner, and I have transitioned to the operator side. As you see, I work at Thompson Safaris, and I was thrilled that they asked me to talk about this Connects, which is it is a part of the conference that has evolved over the past several years, and I feel like it's nearly perfect. We've talked extensively. My colleagues have shared all the elements and who's there, and I don't know that anybody has said yet that there are over 500 people, and many times we cap out the capacity of the conference, but there's a heck of a lot of people there. So how do you get to meet them? The Connects meetings evolved out of having these our bazaar, our international bazaar, and those of us exhibiting wanted to have a more intense time with people that we felt were ideal potential partners. And so everybody who's attending can request meetings with whomever. It doesn't, you're not restricted to only setting up meetings with just travel planners. But one of the things that I think is critical is to really do your homework. You could go out and see, evaluate everybody who's attending and think you want to go after just the Ivy League institutions or, just the museums. But there may be a new organization there or somebody that you may have never even thought of that could be a good fit for your company. And so, Mara's done a great job of requiring everybody who attends to update their profile. Scott mentioned it does take a little bit of time, but once it's done, it's there. So use that information. Look at what people are doing, what has been successful for them, the scope of their program, their mission, and determine before you request that meeting. Make sure that it's a good fit. And the other thing is they don't have to accept the meeting. You can request it. There are the automatic processes within the website that will remind people, hey, you have pending meetings unconfirmed. So we do everything we can to make this a worthwhile conference for you so that you get in front of people who have a constituency that you want to get in contact with. So do take advantage of it. I've spoken to a lot of new DOS attendees who didn't know a lot about it. Really inform yourself. This is a critical part of the conference for you to have that face-to-face interaction.
Thanks, Roberta. One of the things, too, is that Lauren's going to talk to us about the type of Connect meetings. It's not just a free-for-all, and Lauren's going to outline how the Connects are divided among the constituency. Lauren?
All right, so let's get into how this actually works. So first of all, a most important thing to know is that you do want to request your Connect meetings well in advance. And if you're the recipient of a request for a Connect meeting, make sure that you answer. So even if the answer is no, I don't think it's a good fit, or I'm not able to meet with you at this conference, please do reply and get back to people who request an appointment with you. So to give you a sense of what some of these Connects are about, the Trade Business Connects happen on the Travel Planner Forum Day. And that's a day where travel planners are really fulfilling their professional development needs and what they have to do to report back to the people who paid for them to go. So they're not in the bazaar at that time. And as a result, it gives us as DOS a chance to meet with each other. So what you want to do is take this opportunity to look for destinations or suppliers or operators that you want to work with and request meetings with them. If you don't happen to have an appointment, you can go ahead and look for open slots for people who seem to be sitting with no meeting. But if you see a meeting taking place, we do ask that you please don't interrupt, because they're short meetings to begin with, and when someone sort of jumps into someone's pre-scheduled time, nobody really likes that, and it kind of throws the schedule off. Then in terms of existing businesses, those are meetings that you should really only take advantage of if you already have projects in place with people. And consider that some planners will typically not set up any meetings with new partners at the conference. They're only wanting to meet with their existing partners. And so it's more a case that with those planners, you're trying to network with them at some of the receptions or open moments that you might catch them during the conference. At the same time, there are other planners that are really only looking to meet with new partners. So if there's someone you want to meet with, make sure you do request that meeting, but don't take it personally if they don't answer. You'll have a chance to find them and connect with them at some point. And then getting to the new business connects, these are people that you don't know. And for the planners, this is a real opportunity for you to sort of get outside the comfort zone and maybe talk to a destination and get educated about that destination. A lot of times planners tend to underuse the resource of destinations because they don't know what the destination can offer. But keep in mind, they're not selling anything. They're only there to share information. Not only do they want to enhance your programs with special access and special information, but they may have money or funding to contribute to advertising and promotion. And many of the destinations are also part of our sponsorship pool for ETC. So the new Business Connects are a time, obviously you want to see those operators that maybe you haven't worked with before and you want to do business with them, and definitely go ahead and do that. But also consider our sponsors. This is a time to say thank you to them, to give them some of your attention, to keep in mind that the sponsors keep our registration costs down for our nonprofit participants. They're really the lifeblood and the reason why the registration costs haven't increased in the past 5 years. So use those new Business Connects as a way to find new partners to work with for your programs, but to also go out of your way to meet someone that you just don't know. Maybe you're not sure why you're talking to them, but you want to expand your network. That's what this conference is about. It's about community. And the last thing I would say with all of these connects is please remember, don't interrupt a meeting that's ongoing. Look for a time when someone is not sitting with someone when they're alone to walk up to someone you don't have a scheduled meeting with. And then lastly, for the Speakers Connects, these are a chance for you to get free consultation with our speakers who maybe you didn't get to talk to them at the session. These are requested on site, not in advance, so you can just go and sign up during the conference. And I'm just going to summarize by saying make sure you request your Connects early. For your Speaker Connects, make sure you get there and try to sign up to talk to our speakers because you might not get to see them again. Make sure you reply to all the requests that you receive for Connects. And make sure you go out of your way to get to know some new people that you wouldn't normally want to meet with. There's no pressure. These Connects meetings are very short, so it's not a sales pitch. And remember that our community works because we work together as destinations, operators, suppliers, and planners. So we really need to find ways to integrate with each other, and these Connects are the perfect opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Lauren. Those are great points, and that's why we call them connections. They are connections, and that's how you do it. A couple of just follow-up things on that. You're just summarizing to make a meeting. You schedule the meeting by doing the organizational profile, do some pre-planning, go online, schedule it, and the notifications come to you and to the planners and to your colleagues on the DOS side. We are talking about roles and responsibilities with all of the planners as well this afternoon at 1 o'clock. We'll be having a very similar webinar for planners, and I can assure you that as a planner myself, I'll be talking to my planner colleagues to say that responding to the DOS requests are a big opportunity and obligation of the conference. We've seen great increases in percentages of responsive meetings over the last 3 to 4 years. So I heartily encourage you to do that. So Mara, I want to turn it back over to you now. We're a little after 12. We started a little late. We want everybody to stay, but Mara, I don't know if you want to make some closing comments.
Well, I first would like to thank you, Steve, for co-facilitating another wonderful webinar and for the use of the facilities at Rhodes Scholar. They're most impressive, and their technical team is sitting with us through this whole webinar. I'd like to thank the gentlemen as well. And, of course, our presenters, Roberta, Tim, Lauren, Scott, and Alex. You did a wonderful job. I really appreciate your time and tuning in from all parts of the country. And certainly to all our guests and colleagues who are listening in on this webinar. I know taking an hour out of the day is precious, so I wanted to thank you all. And any of you who would like to stay on a little later, we can certainly field questions and answers, but I know that we like to keep this on time. So if you feel that you need to jump off, certainly give us an email if you have more questions, or we'll sit here for about 5 more minutes to see if anyone has any other questions after we close officially. Thank you again. It's been a great hour.
Thank you, Mara. It was delightful to do it. So if anybody has to get off now, we do have a couple of questions. We're going to sign off. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to answer those, and then we'll be done. Thank you. Okay, we're back with a few final questions. One person asked, when I'm at the conference, how can I be identified, or how will I be identified if I'm new? There will be badges at the conference. And Mara, do you want to talk about the different sort of categories of those?
We take great pride in our little ribbons that go on the badges. Some people like to have them going all the way down to their knees, but we have a ribbon-colored badge that says newcomer. And so therefore, this kind of multicolored badge is a newcomer, and we do encourage everyone to go up and just sort of welcome the newcomers. So it's a wonderful technique to have that. We also identify our newcomers from different countries around the world with the country that they represent as well.
Okay, the second thing was what's going on at night. We've been talking about nighttime events and sponsorships and things like that. What is happening at night?
Well, we always have a sort of a venue of events. The first night at the conference, we have some exciting music coming to us from Peru, and it'll be kind of a festive opening. We don't have a lot of educational content to that point because the focus is on networking and everyone getting to see each other because this is sort of the opening event, and it's kind of a feeding frenzy of networking. The following night, we have a destination. We have what we call our community dinner. We have various constituents in the conference that are sponsoring this dinner. We will be hosting it, and I will announce the place online in about 1 week. It's a very exciting location, and that, again, is a very big networking evening. And then the third night, we have what we call the destination dinner, where we focus on the destination, but again, we also focus on networking. All of these evenings are set up to have networking venues for people to really get together and to chat. And as Steve mentioned, it's really important that we don't have any other hospitality things going on. Everyone's at these meetings as a community, sponsored by their community members. So it's really, really fun and important to be there because a lot of business is also done there.
And it's not a click either. So when you're at the event, you get to be with other people who you may have wanted to see, and all of a sudden you find yourself sitting next to them. So that's another great opportunity there. This is a great question from somebody. We're happy to have many questions like this. Somebody said, how can I sponsor one or more of the events for the conference? So if you're interested in sponsoring and getting the recognition and the more commercial aspects and the advertising that goes along with it, just get in touch with Mara at the conclusion of this. She'd be delighted to talk to you about that. We really welcome sponsors each year. We have certain things that are done. They can be small sponsorships of things in the handouts to full dinners and so forth. And the last thing we wanted to reiterate is that space is limited on the pre-program activities. So if you're interested in going to Salem or doing Art and About in Boston, we already have quite a few enrollments on both of those. So if you're interested, you really should consider that sooner rather than later.
And to be note that the early bird deadline is coming up. You'll be getting an e-blast on that, but to make sure that really saves you a lot of money. And also, I mean, we're already well over 50% of the hotel block being gone, so it's been a very well-subscribed conference to this point. We're exceeding the numbers from last year at this point in time. So it's really important, if you feel like you need to attend, I would register now to save considerable funds and make sure you have a hotel room. Right here, I mean, the location's great. Boston's my hometown, so I'm very excited. It's a wonderful city. And online, you'll be seeing shortly, so many of your colleagues have told us about their favorite haunts in Boston. So we're going to be publishing that online from all of your Boston-based colleagues. They're very, very pro-Boston, as you'll find out when you get here. So that's going to provide some more entertainment and excitement. So if you want to extend, we have actually just increased 50 more rooms for Friday night because the demand has been so heavy to stay on the weekend, and the hotel has been accommodating thus far. So I do encourage to make your plans early. The airfares are more competitive now, and make that decision early rather than later. If you do have any questions, though, I do encourage, if you're a newcomer, I always speak to newcomers, so please call our offices, and I'd be glad to give you as much time as you'd like to see if this is really the right venue for you. As well as repeat attendees, I'd be glad to go into more programming details. Thank you.
And from somebody who has worked both sides of the side from planner and supplier and operator, I can tell you that people do get closed out of the conference. So don't wait until the end of January to register. There's very likely not to be space. So Alex, did you?
Oh, that was Lauren. I just wanted to jump in on the sponsor point and say that I've been a sponsor of ETC for the past several years. And I can vouch for the fact that sponsoring is a really great way to help the conference get to know you. So I really encourage anyone who's considering sponsoring Those opportunities go fast too, so sometimes you have to try to reserve them a year in advance, but the value that you receive for your sponsorship in terms of recognition and relationships within the conference is definitely worthwhile.
That's great. So think community, think conference. We'll see you in February. Mara, thank you for thinking about all of this and all of us as you have for 29 years. When you were 6, you started this conference. So thank you very much. We're 12:10. That's about when we started 11:10. Thank you for your patience and thank you for joining us. This has been recorded. Will be posted on the website. So if you or colleagues want to see it or you want to recommend it to your bosses or something, by all means do. Thank you very much.